That mystery address turned out to be a seedy-looking tavern on the waterfront. Even had a condemned sign plastered across the front door.
Well, you should have felt right at home.
Oh, that's funny. But what happened next wasn't. Despite a clear warning from my spider sense, I walked around back and found an open door. Finally regained consciousness. It felt like I'd been trying to drink my own body weight in cheap gin.
It sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, bando for 2.
Thank you. May I check your coat?
You know, I think I'll keep it, thank you.
Okay.
Is it less than $3? Oh, that's all right. That wasn't the worst of it, though. I had this ripping pain inside my head. I mean, I was munching ibuprofen tablets like they were Reese's Pieces. That didn't stop the blinding light I was getting behind my eyes or the pain I had in my head.
Did you see a doctor?
No, just the light flashes, actually.
Come, I'll take you to your seats.
Oh, thank you.
Here are your seats. We'll have to prepare another table for you since you were late this evening. Can I get your drink?
I don't think so. Why don't we just wait?
Certainly.
Oh, this must be the penalty box.
So, finish telling me about Linsky.
Okay. Well, the thought occurred to me that Carl Linsky might have gone through the same thing I was going through. I mean, you remember I told you he had that little scar on the back of his neck? Well, it wasn't so hard for me to envision jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge just to get away from the pain.
What had they done to you?
Well, I had no idea other than I got beat up really good. I didn't realize at the time the clock was ticking and that I had less than 48 hours to live.
What did you do?
I was only halfway up a long series of steps. The next one was to find Robert Knott because he and I were on the same sinking ship together. Like my skull was full of razor blades, I found a pay vid phone and tried Wanda Peck again. This time she answered. I told her I had something she'd want to see, so she agreed to meet me at the Capricorn building.
It was so important that you wanted to meet me after hours.
I've got something that might interest even you.
I'm listening.
This disc is from Robert Knott's office.
How'd you get that?
Off the record, I stole it. Robert Knott's fallen out of favor with the Law and Order Party, And for all I know, he could be dead. But if he's alive, I want to know where he is.
Well, off the record, I know Robert personally. I like him. I don't know where he is, but I can give you the best guess I have. He owns a cabin up north, which no one knows about. Well, almost no one. I'll give you directions. Wait here.
Wanda gave me the direction to Robert Knott's cabin. I wanted to leave right away, but I was too beat. Went back to the office and I slept for a while.
Where was the cabin?
It was up north, way out in the woods. In fact, I didn't even find it until after dark.
Well, was he there?
No, but I could tell someone had been there recently. I got inside and started looking around for something that might tell me where Knott was hiding out. I figured if I warned him about Slade, he might tell me what the hell was going on with law and order. Lights were on inside the cabin. I knocked on the door, but there was no answer, so I let myself in. Bunch of little fishies, and what's this? A small metal box. I guess I should check it out. Uh-oh. Those aren't fishies, they're piranhas. Looks like I'll have to find an industrial-strength fishing pole. And like the stone said, wild horses couldn't drag me away. From ransacking the cabin, that is. You could light a cigarette from across the table with this baby. Robert Knott's top-level ID badge. This might give me access to someplace special in Law and Order Party headquarters. Looks like a deflated life raft or something.
Sounds like you'd worked with blow-up dolls before.
Hey, I have never been that lonely. But at the time, I had no one else to turn to. Frontier armoire. Probably full of union suits and coonskin caps. Find a little something before I can... Well, I wasn't expecting any company, but as long as you're here...
What the hell's going on here?
Whoa! Listen, don't shoot the messenger, okay? I came to warn you. Somebody wants you dead.
Tell me something I don't know.
Well, as you may or may not know, a lot of people have been dying lately of self-inflicted and/or accidental causes. And you and I just might be next in line.
Anything else?
All right. I should tell you that Wanda Peck gave me this address.
So who the hell are you? And what's your relationship to Wanda Peck?
Well, there's a rat's nest at Law and Order Party. And for different reasons, we both want to find it.
You don't say. Well, that makes 3 of us.
You really think you're safe here?
It's as good a place as any. Doesn't really matter anyway. They're gonna find me sooner or later. Actually, my own death is not exactly high on my wish list of things I'd like to happen to me. But I'll tell you one thing. They know I'm not gonna give up without a fight.
So tell me something if you don't mind. But how does someone go from being the Law and Order Party candidate to the top of their things to kill list?
A candidate is sugar coating on a pill. The party sets an agenda, and all I do is try to make it a little easier for the public to swallow.
What's Law and Order trying to force feed us?
What'd you say your name was?
Murphy. Tex Murphy.
Well, you gotta believe what I'm gonna tell you, Tex.
Why not? I'm pretty gullible.
Law and Order has this plan. They're gonna put implants into everybody. It's gonna allow them to identify, track, and eventually control the whole population.
They really believe they could get away with that?
They know it.
Listen, maybe you can answer something that's really bothering me. If Law and Order is so powerful, why are they going around killing everybody?
Call. Greg Call. They're trying to kill anyone who has ties to him. He used to work for Gideon Enterprises.
Well, how about I go talk to Frank Shimming?
Shimming? No, he's squarely in the camp of Law and Order.
Well, maybe he's behind this whole thing. I mean, Shimming could be the Overlord.
You know about Overlord, too?
At this point, I started to smell gas.
Let me guess. You grabbed a couple of chili dogs for the flight up.
Not that kind. One of the bullets had hit the stove. Now the whole cabin was being flooded with gas. Who are those guys? They'll be a hit squad. Looks like they accomplished their task. Now it took a couple of slugs before he hit the floor. She looks a lot more lifelike with clothes on. Hey, I've got a proposition for you. A girlfriend would like to meet you. girl? Hi, boys. Come on in, let's have a party. I got s'mores.
Okay, we're coming in.
I love hunters. I gotta figure out a way to get out of here. Quickly.
It's just a rubber doll!
Well, I had a few singed hairs, but I was okay. Little did I know, things were about to really heat up.
Ooh, it sounds like Sylvia's about to make another appearance.
That's a good guess. After I got out of Knott's Inferno, I decided to fly back to Linsky's warehouse, check up on my client.
But she wasn't there.
Have I told you this part of the story before?
Oh, no, it's just that, well, I know how women work.
Well, that makes one of us anyway. So she's not at the warehouse. I fly over to her apartment. She's not there either. So I get in my speeder. I fly back to my office. I walk in the door.
And she's waiting for you.
Yeah.
Probably wearing something very nice.
To tell you the truth, I did not even notice.
Oh, of course not. So then she says, "Hello, handsome."
Well, needless to say, I was very, very upset with her. I thought we agreed that you would stay at the warehouse.
I know, but I started worrying something would happen to you. I don't feel very comfortable about being alone right now.
Sylvia, this thing is dangerous, and I don't think you realize how dangerous it is.
Well, tell me. I'm paying your tab after all.
Yeah, sure, bring business into this.
Well, that's what it is, isn't it? Am I not just a client? There were plenty before me, and there will be plenty after me.
That's what I tell myself.
What do you mean by that?
You know what I mean by that.
Tell me.
There's this thing. It's called the rules of a PI. And the number one rule is, don't fall for a client.
That wouldn't happen, would it?
Yeah, well, I'm holding you personally responsible for making me even think twice about it.
I feel so guilty.
Yeah, well, you should.
So tell me, are there any rules about kissing a client?
That falls squarely under Rule 1.
The rule that you're thinking twice about. So break a rule. How many rules are there?
37 so far.
So 36 out of 37, that's not so bad. And I won't tell a soul.
Sounds like you were just about ready to go into the deep fryer.
No, it's more like a quick sear, followed by a slow simmer. Listen, Sylvia, it has been an incredibly long day, and my resistance is just about 0. So if you will take 10 paces back, promise to quit smelling so good. I promise you that when this is over, we'll look into the possibility. We got a deal.
Okay, I'll be good. But I'll hold you to that promise.
I've got a cot in the other room. You take that and I'll sleep here.
Sweet dreams.
That's not gonna be hard.
Do you miss her?
Oh, yeah. This again. You know, as soon as I lose some weight, I think I'm gonna get rid of it. I don't think I need to be reminded anymore. No, I don't think I do.
Good. Because I'm very selfish, you know.
That's one of the things that really attracts me to you.
Boy, that makes me happy to hear it. So now that you've described to me just about every temptation a man can stand, what happens next?
Nothing happened? Nothing happened, okay? Actually, I flew Sylvia back to the warehouse.
Good.
I thought you'd like that part. I went back to the office, and I had a call.
You find the chess move?
I did. It was in the design of Val Davis's pass card. Look, I'm ready to meet with you. Just tell me when and where.
It isn't safe yet, but I have another lead for you. Find out about Greg Call.
Who's Greg Call?
He was the lead programmer on the STG project. He knew about Overlord.
Well, how do I find him? Greg Call. Overlord. Either one.
Call is dead.
Oh, that's gonna make him easy to find.
Call suspected that someone on the inside was selling out the STG project. For that reason, he relocated to a secret base of operation. If you find that, all your questions will be answered.
Any hints on how I'm supposed to do that?
The police were warned that Call might turn up dead. They may have found something that could lead you to where he was working. Oh, I gotta go.
So Greg Call was the head of the STG project.
Yeah, but he was the dead head.
So now you went back to see Detective Clements, right?
Good guess.
You seem to think I'm some sort of street informant. I'm gonna start charging you for these consultations.
You know, you've been so very good to me. I think I'm gonna do you a favor. I know where Big Jim Slade is.
If you're on the level, I'll trade you any information you want.
Done. Slade's at the Big Surf Lodge, number 6. It's off the Pacific Coast Highway just north of Big Sur.
I haven't got any information on that. How do you find out about these people? He died a few days ago. We would have chalked it up to natural causes. An aneurysm, maybe. Except we got an anonymous tip through 911 the day before he died. Tipster said that if he died, we should perform an autopsy. Never heard. He's a hitman for hire, and he's on Interpol's 10 Most Wanted. If you're mixed up with him, I'd make sure your affairs are in order.
Hey, Lieutenant. How's it going? Bust any big-time criminals lately?
We checked out the Big Surf Lodge.
So?
It was vacant.
I swear to you, he was there.
Tell you what, when you track him down, let me know. Until then, get the hell out of my office and stay out!
Getting ready for your hunter's safety course there, Lieutenant?
I thought I told you to stay the hell out of my office.
Please. Eve. I'm walking in here on my hands and knees. I've just about cracked this case, but I need your help to finish it.
All right. But this is it. No more chances. It only turned up one unusual thing. A small capsule planted under the skin. Inside was a plastic tag with markings on it. We couldn't make heads or tails of it. Maybe you should give it a try.
Appears to be a Braille alphabet.
Nexus? What does that stand for?
I'm not sure it stood for anything. But I surmised that it had to do with Greg Call's secret base of operations. Now I had to ask around to see if anyone knew about it. You'll never guess who did.
You caught me at the last moment, Mr. Murphy. I was preparing to go abroad.
That sounds good. You know, I've heard Amsterdam is great.
Everything you've heard is true. I highly recommend it. Now, I think I can spare you a few moments before I leave. Your investigation has certainly got you into some obscure channels. Years ago, well after the government signed the UNGP treaty, Gideon Enterprises bought the rights to utilize dozens of abandoned government installations. Nexus was the code name for an underground military facility located in Washington State near Mount Shasta. I don't believe we ever used the location.
Nexus base took a long time to find, and I won't bore you with the details, but the installation looked totally derelict from the outside. Once I found a way inside, I entered an underground laboratory that was brand new, state-of-the-art.
Was there anyone there?
No, but as soon as I stepped inside, I did hear a voice.
Stand by for system scan.
Those men that jumped you had put some sort of implant into your head.
Exactly. And it seemed like I was in the best possible place to do something to remove it. I started looking around with just that in mind.
Just that in mind. No pun intended, I'm sure.
Some kind of chart. Maybe watching all those ER reruns will finally pay off. If the implant I'm carrying around is on this list, it must be number P333. Now I need to figure out which of the kamikaze implants will neutralize it. Oh, there's a card on the clipboard. Oh, a chip-making device manufactured by Frito Intel. The two megacorporations merged a few years back and cornered the chip market. I guess Greg Call must have designed the solution to neutralize the Overseer implants. Now I have to find a way to inject it into my bloodstream.
Injected yourself with that thing?
I had to. Then I went into the scanning booth. The fun was just starting. The green diamond must indicate the location of the P333 implant. I have to move the kamikaze implant into one of the blood vessels where it will appear as a blue cross. Then, I have to navigate it until it reaches the implant and neutralizes it. I'd neutralized the Overseer chip, which someone had designed to be fatal in my case, or a controlling device to others. I still had no idea who was pulling the strings, but as I stepped out of the removal station, I heard sounds just outside the main entrance. I ducked behind a display panel and waited to see who it was.
Hello? Hello? Okay. I'm really not very good with surprises.
Well, it isn't my mystery man. What's your name?
Larry Hammond. I would have told you earlier, but I have some serious trust issues going on. With all that's happened, I've got the right to be a little paranoid.
Yeah, I guess you do. You haven't been using the code name Poison Pawn, have you?
No. Why?
That's not important. How'd you get here?
I followed you. I wanted to make sure you came here alone.
Well, I hope you were more careful about being followed than I was.
Yeah, I have a very strong sense of self-preservation. I even brush my teeth carefully.
Yeah, it shows. Why don't we just start at the top and see what you know? Tell me about Carl Linsky.
Well, Linsky and I both worked on STG. But I didn't know him back then. I recognized his picture in the paper from when he had his suicide.
Well, that's helpful. How about STG?
It was a really mysterious operation. When Greg brought me in to do some programming, I didn't know anybody on the design team, and we weren't encouraged to get to know each other either. Once we got our instructions, we went off to work in different places. None of us knew what each other was working on.
So, who was in charge of this little circus?
Greg had been there the longest. He was pretty much running the show.
So is he this overlord I've come to hear so much about?
Oh, no, there had to have been higher-ups. I knew Greg for a long time. We were in Mutant League together.
Oh. Just so I understand something here, the reason you got in contact with me is because you wanted me to find Carl's lab, right? Why?
Well, early on in the program, Greg got really paranoid and relocated his base of operations. And no one knew where he was at. I didn't even see him until after I finished my work with STG. A couple of weeks ago, after all the mysterious deaths, I decided to go underground to get a read on my life expectancy. Well, you see, I was underground, and Greg found me, which didn't give me a great sense of well-being. Anyway, he said he needed my help.
To do what?
He wanted to find the pass cards we'd all been issued. You see, all 8 of us received these cards at the beginning of the project. They were used to transmit data from wherever we were working to some sort of central computer. Now, the whereabouts of that computer, that was top secret.
Well, what about the chess moves?
Oh, I don't know anything about those. I think they were Greg's idea. He designed the cards.
And you've got a card?
Yeah. Here. You take it. Just holding the thing next to my skin just gives me the hives.
No, it's that polyester.
Really?
You told me if I came here, that I was going to get the answer to all of my questions.
I said that? No, I was just guessing. I've got something that might help. Now, Greg gave me this the last time I saw him. Now, he said, don't open it unless something happened to him. I think something happened to him.
What are we supposed to do with it?
What are we supposed to do with it? It's your problem now. I told you everything I know. I gave you a pass card, and I gave you what Greg gave me. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go somewhere and try not to get killed. Hasta la pasta, baby.
Hey, Larry. Thanks for the help.
Anytime.
So Larry was the mysterious informant. And he said he wasn't the poison pawn. Well, what was in the envelope he gave you?
There was a note written from Greg Call to Larry. There was more to the content of the note than met the eye. Carl told Larry not to read this message unless something happened to him. There must be some sort of secret message contained in this note. Larry's pass card. The corresponding scrambled password is written on the envelope Larry gave me. This was Greg Call's pass card. Seems to be a large light panel.
To Larry, or whoever's watching this, I'll have to assume that my first plan has failed, and I'm probably dead. The purpose of this message is a warning, and afterwards my computer will reformat, so listen up. I've enjoyed a long friendship with J. St. Gideon. We founded Gideon Enterprises together years ago, and I believe that he is a good man and has honorable intentions, regardless of how I may disagree with his philosophy. For years he has worked on a program called Overlord, a worldwide surveillance system which would allow him ultimately to control key political figures, thereby speeding up the world peace process. This was all made possible about a year ago. A breakthrough in nanotechnology allowed us to create microscopic devices that, once implanted inside someone, would allow us to control the physiological reactions, the chemical reactions, make the person a slave to positive response. And in this way was born the STG project, sort of a Pavlovian remote control program. We recruited 7 other scientists, and put them on different phases of the project so none of them would know what the entire project was about. We gave them pass cards which would allow them to transmit data to a central overlord computer. I found out shortly thereafter that John Klaus, one of the scientists, was intending to sell out the project to the Law and Order Party. When I went to Gideon with my fears, he disregarded them. Either he knew something that I didn't, or he was simply too obsessed to listen to reason. Regardless, I took it upon myself to implement a fail-safe program into Overlord, which I called Stalemate. Now, in order to activate this Stalemate fail-safe program in the Overlord system, all 8 STG pass cards are required. I made a plan to track down the other 7 pass cards. I started with Carl Linsky's home once I'd learned that he'd committed suicide, but I was unable to find the card. The thought crossed my mind that since Carl Linsky and John Klaus were friends, that possibly Linsky staged his own death and is working with Law and Order and John Klaus. But I can't substantiate that. At this point, I'm not sure who I can trust, outside of Larry Hammond and J. St. Gideon, though I'm not sure how much J. St. Gideon will listen to me at this point. Regardless, Gideon's program, Overlord, must be deactivated. If not by me, then by whoever's watching this message.
I knew it!
You knew what?
Sylvia was behind the whole thing. Oh, it all fits together now. Of course. Linsky staged his own suicide.
Okay, you've got yourself an interesting theory now. Play with it.
Well, okay. Linsky worked at the clinic, right? And, well, there's a lot of patients there, and, you know, maybe one was in a coma or terminally ill, and Linsky finds one that is about his same size, maybe even looks like him. And I think that's where Linsky probably gets the idea. So he dresses the patient in his clothes. He, you know, plants the wallet, the keys, and the suicide note on him. They, you know, dump the body in the bay, and it's recovered, and who identifies it?
Sylvia.
Please, we're finished, please. Well, did I get it? Did I figure it out?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe so.
So, well, then why don't you tell me the rest?
Actually, I'm fascinated by your story. Why don't you tell me what you'd do next?
If it were me, I would probably go to the Law and Order Party headquarters.
That's exactly where I went, because now I had Robert Knott's pass card. This time, there was no sign of our friendly night watchman, though I figured he was around somewhere. I doubted the coffee trick would work again, so I had to figure out another plan.